Oh my god, it's bright. Where are you from?
I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah.
How were you discovered?
I was at a coffee shop, and Sarah from LA Models said, "Have you ever thought about modeling?" And I was like, no, never. I never have." So I went in and met with her.
What magazines or ads have you been in?
I've done a bunch of commercials. I did an Apple commercial that never aired, which I think I'm not supposed to say ever. They're like super serious about the NDAs. I did a Yoplait commercial where my one line was "Sup, girl." That was my one line. And I just did a Mountain Dew commercial. But I've worked with Nordstrom and Target and Sports Authority and yeah, a bunch of mostly jumping around on the beach, being a goofball.
How do you feel about this career?
Um, that's interesting. If I were to be honest, it's an interesting world to be a part of because there's the fashion aspect of it, which is definitely respectable, but then there's the attaching sex to a product to sell it, which I kind of have these qualms about. Honestly, I think it's an interesting field to be in, but at the same time, it can be very surfacey and very pretentious, and the typical Hollywood bullshit. But yeah, there's pros and cons of it. It's fun. There's people that are passionate about creating different things in fashion that I really respect. So it's fun.
How would you describe your type or specialty?
My specialty is lifestyle-y stuff and stuff where I don't really have to take myself seriously, I guess, is my specialty.
Who is your favorite model that you look up to?
I don't really know any models by name, like big models. But there is this one androgynous. She's French, or he. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? It's Andre Petchik. She's like it's a guy, but everything that he does, he books things as women, and it's just, to me, that's pretty fascinating. I don't aspire to be him, but I'm very interested in his work.
What would your ideal job be?
Ideal job is to be surrounded by people who are passionate and creative, and probably on a beach somewhere, and the sun is shining, and maybe there's a boat to hang out on afterwards, if we're lucky.
Do you consider yourself to be lucky?
Absolutely, definitely. I think that just being in America, we're afforded a ton of opportunities that a lot of people don't get, and it's just a matter of perspective, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and looking back at yourself and being like, wow, the opportunities that we have are pretty incredible. So yeah, definitely.
What advantages do you have?
I'm a white male, and I was afforded the opportunity to have free education, and I also have the advantage of having a positive outlook on life, and I'm pretty healthy, which is lucky. So I don't know.
What did you do before modeling?
Before modeling, I laid tile for a year. When I first moved to California, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be in sunshine. And then I got here and I was like, oh crap, I need to get a job, like, immediately. And so the first opportunity that came up was to lay tile. So I did that for 40 hours a week for a year.
Would you rather have a car or a diploma?
A car. I feel like a diploma doesn't really mean that much, because I think you can learn a lot more from the experiences you can get to in a car.
How do you feel about globalization?
Globalization in the sense that resources, we have access to resources globally now, easier than ever. I think there's pros and cons of that. Now we can have relationships, we can have business relationships, we can have personal relationships with people all over the world, which I think is a great thing. And I think it makes anybody's influence reach farther. But there's cons of that. You have to be more careful, because what you say in your language sometimes doesn't translate, and from culture to culture, not just language to language. So yeah, it gets more complicated, but I do think it's a good thing.
What do you think about the amount of stuff people buy?
I think it's Russell Brand said this thing interesting recently. It was that if you see it on an advertisement, you don't need it. If they're trying to sell it to you, you don't need it. And I think we kind of buy in. Our consumeristic culture definitely buys into the mentality that, like, if I had this and this, then whatever, then I'd be happy, which is just totally not true. Because look at, people that have tons of stuff. A lot of them are miserable. It really has. There's no correlation between what we can gather up and save versus happiness. It's just, there's no correlation, and we somehow have been fed that story that's just not true.
Would you rather live the American way or be a socialist?
I'm not really that familiar with socialism, besides the idea of sharing wealth. I do like that idea, redistribution of wealth, but the American dream doesn't appeal to me that much. I think I don't really know what an alternative would actually look like, but I like the idea of being in some sort of community. I don't think it works politically, but some sort of community where everybody's sharing things and things are distributed equally.
What does the American way mean to you?
The American way. I guess capitalism, white picket fence, a family, security, stability. Some of those things are attractive to me, some of them aren't. But yeah, the American way, I think, is. But it's also, the good side of it is freedom. I mean, the American way is definitely about being able to be who you are and being able to be free to say and do where your heart leads you.
What does the future look like to you?
I'm trying less and less to think about the future these days. I'm trying to be in the moment as much as possible. But when I look into the future, I just hope that I'm constantly working on myself and making progress as far as understanding people better. To me, the future is more about. To me, my future goals would be to. You mean the future of the world, or like the future of my life, of me? Okay, that's what I mean. Well, I'm really articulate this morning.
How do you
but I'm a model,
about
so.
Having children.
It makes my heart beat. It gives me anxiety, but I do love the idea of someday settling down and teaching my future kids what I've learned, and bringing a human being into the world is pretty fascinating, amazing, profound idea to me. But I'm nowhere near ready for it.
Can you tell me what conflicts or challenges the world is facing today?
Yeah, I think I touched on the consumeristic culture of America, which I think is a big problem, because that translates into relationships too. When people have a consumeristic mentality, they look at the person they're in a relationship with like a product. Like, an iPhone is only as sexy as the newest iPhone, and then all of a sudden it doesn't look as good. And I think that translates into every part of our lives. It's like you can look at somebody you're in a relationship with and see somebody better looking and be like, that's better, when it's really not true. So I think that is a problem. And also I think we even though globalization is big, we are still very much in our own bubble. Each culture is. I think it's really important to have a hunger to understand people that are different than you, and I think it's easy to get stuck in your bubble and not put things in perspective. Look at what you have to give.
What is your favorite way to communicate?
Do you mean like do you mean like social media and other devices, or do you mean like, what do you mean? My favorite way to communicate is face to face, for sure. But I also think playing games, like relationship games and communication, is such a poisonous, stupid thing. I hate it. It's like I think as far as communicating with the person that's next to you, I feel like you don't need to play games with them and get them to guess what you're feeling or assume that they should know what you're feeling. I think you should just say it. But as far as technology and what that affords us as far as communication, I think there's nothing that beats face to face.
What do you think of the creative scene in Los Angeles?
Um, I go back and forth from loving it and hating it. I have like a bittersweet relationship with it because you go into a coffee shop and the cool thing is that everybody has some sort of similar passion. They all have scripts open and they're all talking about character and about like these human stories. And to me that's really cool. It's really cool to go somewhere in Los Angeles and whether it's music or something, it's so artsy that like you can find somebody in every coffee shop or cafe that has a similar passion than you. To me that's really cool. But the cons are that it's the entertainment industry and like I said it's like a bubble. People think that entertainment matters more than anything else when it's like it's just entertainment. you know.
What is your favorite book, film, and music right now?
My favorite film is Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. My favorite book right now is Malcolm Gladwell's stuff, like The Tipping Point or Blink or Outliers. And then what was the other one? Music? I really like Purity Ring. They just came out with a new album. It's really cool. And I really like the band. Robby Robertson, Levon Helm.